Good evening, everybody. Chef Marshall here, and welcome to Cooking with Confidence. Super excited to be here every Thursday night, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are live streaming YouTube and Facebook. For those of you that know the drill, you've got your recipes, you've got your ingredients, maybe you got a glass of wine or a beer. Hopefully you haven't cut off any fingers yet. And for those of you who are going, what is this guy talking about? This is a live cooking show, folks. It's awesome. And I'm super excited to have you here. Before we get into tonight's recipe, we're doing this show for you for 4 reasons. Number 1 is we want to help you work on your skills in the kitchen and help you boost that confidence so you can have fun. 2, we want to help take a little stress out of your life with making meal planning easy. And number 3, we want to help you, I goofed up, gain confidence. Already talked about it. Well, you know the drill. Last point, though, is we really want to, all jokes aside, help you learn how to nourish you and your family and not just feed you and your family or whoever's around, okay? So this is all about helping you. It's our way to give, and we love doing it every Thursday night. Super fun. Also, folks, a lot of people, when they make the recipes, they love to share, and I want you to share. When you do the recipe, whether you're in process, got some great action shots, or you get the finished product, you're toasting to a job well done, put your pictures in the comments so that we can acknowledge you and other people can say, hey, wow, people are doing it. I can do it too. Please make sure you're doing that because we want to acknowledge you, and it's a lot of fun. Tonight, we have a super tasty, awesome recipe of rosemary lemon salmon burgers. You're going to love this, and I'm excited to do this because I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can have a finished product with it. For this recipe, we have a variety of ingredients, as you can see. We have salmon, we have rosemary, some lemon, a little bit of red onions, Dijon mustard, a little salt and pepper, some eggs, breadcrumbs. We'll talk the breadcrumbs. I use ground rice cakes. Now we're going to make a little lemon dill yogurt sauce. Get saucy, not literally get saucy, figuratively, literally we won't, but we're going to make a sauce, a little bit of yogurt, a lemon, and some fresh dill. It's going to be tasty. Going to be yummy, going to be easy. All right, who's ready? Who has their knife, their cutting board? Who is listening to me going, I want all those things, but I did not have the recipes and shopping list in advance to get those groceries? Well, go to chefmarshallobrien.com/show so you can sign up in advance. Now, moving forward, folks, we're going to also just make sure that if you are not on the list, but you're sort of like, is this guy, you know, what's his deal? I want to kind of ease into this. We'll make sure to post the recipes the day of. So if you don't want to, if you're not quite ready, and here's the deal. You sign up, you don't have to do it every week, but once you do a couple of recipes, you're going to be like, wow, this is really awesome. Love to hear your comments. And speaking of comments, please use the chat box so that we can communicate with you. I have my fabulous Jonna, right-hand gal, Miss Jonna.
Hello.
She's cool. Cool as a cucumber, all right? Jonna's my wife life partner, and she really helps me make sure that we are able to connect with you. So she'll be relaying your comments, she'll be relaying your questions, and the more that you can share, the more we can make this be for you, and it's for you, by us, for you. That's what we want to do. Fun recipe. Got to make sure we have all of our ingredients, our setup. We do. I want to make a couple comments about the recipe. I designed this so that you can go a couple ways. For starters, if you want to take the salmon, look at this big, beautiful slab of salmon. Skin on, I'm going to teach you how to take the skin off. The bones are out. If the bones were in, I'd teach you how to take the bones out. But you could cut up the salmon in advance. You'd skin it first, and again, I'll show you. But you could cut it up, mince it up, and all that fun stuff in advance, and then have it, done the day before or a couple days before. Or you can wait on this step and you go through all the other steps and then do the skin and the mince and the mix and have those ready. So there's a few different ways to go about this. I try to be flexible, and at the end of the day, for most people, they like that because everybody that's watching tonight, hi, hope you're having fun. Everyone that's watching tonight, you might have a little different circumstance on how you're set up in your kitchen. You might be saying, well, I love salmon and I want to make these burgers, but I'm going to make it and top it on a salad. I'm going to put it in a wrap. I'm going to make it as a burger. So I don't want to be rigid in my recipes. And for most people, they appreciate that. If you don't like that, well, I apologize, but I just try to make it be, as flexible as I can. Well, having said that, we're going to start cooking because it's 6 past the hour. Questions, comments, thoughts, anything? I'm ready to go. We're going to party. We are going to start by taking our breadcrumbs. And now I use ground rice cakes, and I made a comment about the rice cakes. If you have gluten sensitivities, rice cakes ground up are a phenomenal alternative to standard breadcrumbs. And frankly, these things taste better than, if you're going to buy conventionally, just breadcrumbs in a can or a tube or container. I forget how they come. Yeah, in a container. These taste way better. So I just grind up some whole grain rice cakes. Easy to do. And, a half a cup is about 2 of them. A little bit less than that, but measure it out, as I was saying. So I use the rice cakes. You can't taste the difference. And again, we have a gluten-free option, and I love that. So we've got the rice cakes and the eggs. Questions, comments, thoughts, folks, tonight. We're gonna mix this up. Go ahead and just cut me off.
Yeah, Dominic says, I figured out why I had more burgers was 1.75 pound fillet, not 1.5, and they were closer to slider size.
Well, you know what? And that's a good observation, and I love the awareness that you had, Dominic, and thank you for following up on that, because sometimes, we're just gonna we get our ingredients. Maybe we miss, or we just slip, just have a little space brain on the quantity. So it's good to recognize that. And it's funny because Dominic emailed me last night, and I was like, well, boy, I don't want to make his life harder. So I was thinking about it all, and I'm like, well, pretty sure I did it. So when I actually prepped it earlier today, I was like, see, I was on. So I'm glad you checked it. And now that way, you could get 6 or 8 burgers out of that. But little quick question, a little comment about the portion sizes. When we do our recipes, and again, you can be flexible, but when we do our recipes, we want to provide about 5 to 6 ounces of protein per serving, so that can help, with just, it's a filling meal, helps with blood sugar, helps with boosting metabolism. We just want to make sure you're getting enough protein. So we have that standard of about 6 ounces of uncooked weight of the product. So 1.5 pounds is 6 ounces per serving for patties. You can certainly make them smaller. You're obviously going to have a smaller portion size, but just that's how we do it based off of our nutrition standards. All right, I have taken the breadcrumbs or the ground rice cakes and the egg. I'm just going to let that sit. It's absorbing. And then I'm going to take some onion here, folks. We're going to take a quarter of a cup of onion, and we're going to mince it up. If you want to use yellow onion, white onion instead, that's totally fine. But I'm just going to peel the skin, and we've got lots of onion here. Yes.
Rosie wants to know. Hi, Mom. What about using canned salmon?
Canned salmon would absolutely work. I was actually, that's funny you said that. We must be cosmically connected, Mom. Rosie, Mom, because I was thinking today, someone's going to ask about canned salmon, and I should know how many cans of salmon that would be. Well, I can tell you this, that 1.5 pounds of fresh salmon is 24 ounces. So an equivalent of canned salmon, maybe Rosie, you can mention how much that is, but that definitely would work. It's going to modify your cooking time slightly. You're going to cook it till it's just heated through. And so your cooking time is going to be a little bit less. So be mindful of that. If you use canned salmon, which I think is a great alternative, you just don't want to overdo it. So be mindful of that. Folks, whenever we do our show, we want to teach you the how, the why, the how, and the what. You can see here I am working on my knife skills. Let the knife do the work. A lot of times I'm holding the food and I just do this rocking motion. If I put my hand on top, I'm doing the straight up and down, the chop. That works as well. Figure out what your groove is, what makes it comfortable for you, and then you can move forward on that. Also, I always love giving tips when we're doing our show here. This is about 1/4 cup. It never hurts to have measuring cups and spoons with you. As you get more comfortable and have more confidence in the kitchen, you'll be able to eyeball, and this is actually probably 1/3 cup. I'm a little over on 1/4 here. But as you get more experience and confidence, you'll know, because of experience, how much do you have here, and do you need a little less or a little more, and that sort of thing. And I always say this, that cooking is an art. So it's okay to ebb and flow with your quantities, but make sure you know where you're going. Otherwise, you might mess things up, and then you're not going to get the desired outcome that you want. All right, just to practice what I preach, I'm going to grab a couple of measuring cups here so you can see this. Now, speaking of measuring cups, this is there's a little tip for you folks. This is a great way to get kids involved or other folks involved is by just practicing the measuring. See, look at that, as I was just saying, a little bit over a quarter of a cup. Have people help you with the measuring. Have them, like we got extreme, how's that? You like that shot? All right, how you like them minced onions? All right, we're going to whip those in there just like that. We're basically going to take the herbs, specifically the rosemary. We're going to take the rosemary and the lemon, the zest, the Dijon mustard, all that stuff, and we're going to put it in the bowl, and then we're going to mince up the salmon and put that in. Now, if I were to have minced up the salmon right now, I would then have to switch up the cutting board just because it's going to get messy and sloppy from the fish, juices, if you will. And I want to make this easier and have the salmon mincing up at the end. So it's just less things to be cleaning and that stuff. Hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
K. Mullen says, the recipe didn't say what to do with the onion. If the onion, oops, I lost it.
The onion is going to
goes
go
into the burger or into the sauce. I printed the new recipe.
It's going to go in with the salmon burger. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes. The onions are going to be, as we just did, they're going to go in with the salmon that we'll have. And we're looking for 2 teaspoons here. Fresh herbs are awesome. Sometimes we don't have access to fresh herbs when it's 20 below zero here in Minnesota. Unless you go to the grocery store, and if you don't want to go to the grocery store, you don't have them, that's understood. If you have dried herbs, you're going to want to divide it by 3 because those dried herbs are 3 times more potent than the fresh herbs. So keep that in mind. But here we have our 2 teaspoons of rosemary, and we're going to pop those into, this smells so good. I'm excited. I can't wait for you to try it. It smells so good. We're going to take the Dijon mustard here, folks. If you want to use, regular yellow mustard, I suppose you could. It's going to have a little bit different flavor, but that's not the end of the world, not a big deal. I do recommend, just check this out. Does that look like that's ready to be, does that look like it's ready to be scooped out? No, it isn't. Yeah, you look, there we go. Take 3. Get a little spatula or have another spoon so that you can just get the most out of the ingredients that you're doing. I don't like wasting food. We don't have to be like, I don't know if anyone ever remembers I think it was the early 90s anal retentive chef on Saturday Night Live. That was pretty awesome, by the way. But you don't have to be that extreme. But if you are following a recipe, especially if it's your first time, we talk about cooking as an art, yes, but if this is your first time, you want to do this and have it be a success. So make sure that you measure these things out and then you're following the recipe so you feel comfortable, and the next time you can do it and have, you have that certainty that it works. Okay, moving forward, we got our stuff in there. We're going to mix this here in just a second.
While you're mixing.
Yes.
I had, this is Dominic. I had dry rosemary, so I put it in a shallow bowl with a bit of water overnight in the fridge to.
Oh, that's cool. I got a little salt and pepper going in there. I like the tip. And you know what, folks? I really appreciate it. Share your tips, your experiences, your questions, your concerns in the chat box so that other people can see that. Because sometimes we get a little nervous to, I don't, share like this. But if we see other people going through the same stuff, it makes people feel a little more comfortable and realize that, hey, we're having a normal experience learning as we go. That's a great idea to rehydrate your herbs. I think that's awesome. Certainly don't have to do that, but obviously you can do that. And I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of sharing, I want to share some amazing aroma from this lemon. We're going to zest the lemon. You can use a bona fide zester as I have here. You could use a box grater. Maybe someone wants to grab, I have a box grater down here. The caveat to using a box grater versus a zester like this is that box grater, sometimes you can get a little more, like we've got the zest. So the zest are those little oil pores there. And it has this beautiful, bright, bursting fragrance and flavor. But when you get into the pith, the white stuff, it's going to be, bitter and give you that more of that tang, and we're not looking for that. So if you don't have the right, if you don't have the exact tools for the job, you need to keep that in mind and be a little more, just press it a little lighter as you're getting the zest off. But these zesters work great. Highly recommend it. We're zesting a whole lemon, which is approximately a tablespoon. Now, here's something, depending on the lemons you have. Wow, can you smell that?
I can smell it.
I know, it smells so awesome. If you have small lemons, well, now you've got half the size. So what I would encourage you to do is make a note on your recipe to say about a tablespoon of zest. And then that way you know that you're having the right ratios, because most of us get these larger lemons in Minnesota. However, there are some really small, beautiful tasting lemons, especially the organic ones that are they're like half the size. So you need to adjust that accordingly. And I didn't put that into consideration. But we are going to put this into the bowl. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Shelley says that they use fresh herbs and then dry any leftovers.
I think that's a great idea. We have dried cilantro, we have dried mint, we have dried rosemary. So definitely take advantage of that using the dried herbs. I think that's a great idea. All right, we've got all of the ingredients that we've put. Oh, we got to put the lemon juice. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of the lemon juice into there, and then we'll do a teaspoon, reserve it for the yogurt sauce. If you want to use one of these little, citrus reamers or juicers, they work great. There we go. How's that look right there? We're going to do a couple teaspoons. Add that. It's easier, folks, it's easier to juice the lemon after you zest it. If you try to zest the lemon, and I've done that a few times because I got all caught up, and you zest it after the fact, it's a little bit challenging. So definitely, make sure that you zest it first. It'll be easier. All right, let's take a couple teaspoons of the juice. Okay, that looks good. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Well, Angela says that I feel like my lemon zest is getting stuck in the grater. What am I doing wrong?
Boy, it sounds like you got a zest problem, Angela. I don't know. What would be kind of fun is take a picture, put it in the comments. I'm kind of curious. Now, all jokes aside, you may have, we talked about got some stuff in there. We talked about the box graters. This is not the best tool for using, for zesting. However, Angela, if you're using a zester and you say it's getting stuck on the back, you can just give it a nice little tap, and it will come off the board. And certainly you can do the same thing with the box grater. Now, there are other zester utensils that work great. This is just one example. I don't know if that helps you, Angela. Let us know. Please let us know in the comments there. That is not going back in that drawer. So I'm going to put this over there. All right. Let me know if I answered your question on that. We got the zest. We put half. Directions call for olive oil, and then divide the olive oil in half. So we've done just that. Now we're going to get into the salmon. Now, some people get a little intimidated by salmon. I don't want you to be intimidated by it. It is actually very, very simple to do. And with a little bit of practice, it's even more simple. Now, here's a couple of tips. Rosie brought up one that I think's great, and I absolutely support that. That would be just to go can salmon. It's already cooked. It's already, it's all set up, and when it's cooked, it obviously is flaky, so you can easily, mash it up in there, mix it up. And it should stick just fine. That won't be a problem at all. You could get salmon that has been skinned, and there's nothing wrong. That's going to save you a step. You might spend a little bit more money on it, but that is certainly an acceptable thing to do. I want to get all the barriers out of the way. I always share this as, anything that you can do today that's positive that you were not doing yesterday is progress. So starting with using canned salmon is great. Get it skinned is great. You don't have to get it skinned is all I'm trying to say. Just make it work for you and make it easy. We're going to take our big piece of fish here. Okay, ready? I'm going to do this, make this kind of dramatic. Ready? Wow. Oh, man.
Oh.
You missed the shot.
Oh.
All right. Let's do it again.
All
Sorry.
that
One more time.
practice.
One more time. Everybody quiet. Ready? Okay, it wasn't quite as, it was a little anticlimactic. All right, okay. My awesome production team, Alex and Gabriel, are just looking at me like I'm a goon, and I get it, I am. When you're doing this, initially, it might be a little, you might feel a little awkward just if it's new, but you're going to want to slide your knife in between the bottom, like on the, slide it along the skin, and it's actually pretty easy. And I'll try to do a little angle here so you can see what I'm doing. But if you want to use a fillet knife, you can use, a fillet knife, that'll work, or a slicer. I'm using my cook's knife because more people have cook's knives. Some people have fillet knives. Either way, it'll work. You're going to kind of get it in underneath, okay? I'm going to squeeze it in there, and now I already have it, and I'm going to kind of get it in. See now how I've made that? I've started that process. If you wanna grab a little paper towel, or if you have like cooking towels and you want to hold on to it, you can certainly do that. But now I'm getting in there underneath a little bit more. It's really important here that you keep sliding it, because if you don't slide it, it's going to dig in and it's going to make it a little more challenging. But now, see, look, folks, see where we're at? I want to get it. Can you see that? I want to get as much flat against the skin, because this is all edible. I don't want to waste the meat. I hope that makes sense to you. Does that make sense?
Are you wasting any?
Well, I'm doing a pretty good job. Thank you for commenting on that. All right, let's finish it up. We're going to just keep sliding this off here. Again, sliding parallel with the skin. All right. Then when you look, see, here we go, folks. Okay. Thin skin, that's what we want. There's a little bit of meat on there, but not much. And that looks really awesome. All right. And then, if as a practical joke, you can take the skin, stick it underneath somebody's bed and forget about it. But maybe don't do that. Okay. See, I think I'm funny.
Thanks for the idea. I may do it.
Yeah, you probably would. Please don't, okay? Next. Now we've skinned it. I'm curious, how many of you got salmon? Let us know in the chat box. How many of you got salmon already skinned or skinned it yourself? And how was
Dominic says his cats went crazy at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, say, you know what? Get the cats involved. Get them involved, man. Give them the skin. Let them have fun. I want to know, who did that? How did it work out for you? Next, we're going to make these strips. And the purpose for making the strips is just so that you have a little easier time handling handling the salmon. If you had bones in there, you would notice, like you would see little bones sticking out. You would want to take a tweezers, and I have tweezers for fish, and you would take those and tweeze them out. And the nice thing is, because salmon is so readily available, and a lot of people buy salmon, that most of the people that sell it, they will chop, or they will remove the bones. Not always, but but often. So that makes it really easy. But you'd want to just pay attention to that. Now we're just going to continue to cut this up into bite-sized pieces, and then we're going to mince it. It's really important, folks, if you have the thick, sometimes you'll get a piece of salmon fillet that has a little thick, dense, it's almost like kind of cartilage looking, that's on like the lower belly. That kind of stuff you're going to want to cut out, because if it's hard, you'll want to cut it out, because it's hard and it's hard to cut. If it's soft, don't worry about it. It's fine. But just be mindful for that. You want to make this really easy to chop up. And now it's just a matter of, getting a little arm workout here, and you chop it really good, mince it up really. Don't cut. I just about cut my finger. Oh my gosh, I just cut my finger. Dang it. Yeah. So, hey, that's life in the big city. So, someone want to get me a Band-Aid, and I'm going to so don't cut your finger off in the process, as I haven't whacked my finger really good in a long time. I was so obsessed, so focused on showing you what to do. The first aid kit is at the bottom. Oh, first aid kit's over here. Sorry about that. Anyways, but you can see now, look. Here, why don't you give me camera 3 here. See how that's nice and minced? Okay. Thank you. Nice and minced. You're going to just get that all minced up, and we're good. All right. We're going to add that. We're going to add that to our we're going to add that to our bowl now. I always flip the knife. I always flip the knife on the back, so because I don't want to scrape the blade. If we scrape the blade, then wow, I cut myself pretty good. If we scrape the blade, we will damage the blade. It actually didn't hurt that bad. It hurts more now than it did initially. Okay, moving forward, we're just going to chop up the rest of this, and I'll probably do it into 3 sections. Questions, comments, thoughts? You want to do that, and then I'll just glove up again? Thank you. You know, maybe this is a good time to talk about last week's folks that did some awesome preparations, and we're going to shout out, starting with Berta Howe. I made made it last night. It was great. Really enjoyed the meal. Leftovers have great flavor. Beautiful, Berta. Well done. Well done on that BK Mullen. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. I love how you set this up, BK. Great. To be honest, thought it would be not like it. You know what? You got to try stuff, folks. That's at the end of the deal. And I'm glad you enjoy it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it with some blue tortilla chips. Angela Neeb turned out amazing. I shared on my Facebook page. I love it, Angela. Please, folks, share this stuff with your friends, okay? Because this is fun. And you almost didn't make it. I'm glad you did make it. I'm glad that you stepped out of your comfort zone. Kudos to you, Angela. Appreciate that. Jackie, squeeze a lime, sprinkle of cheese, crossword puzzle on the side, Thursday night date. That's what we're talking about. Love it, love it, love it. That's awesome. And Pam, once again, delicious. Once again, delicious. I'll admit that sometimes I'm hesitant to do meatless recipes, but yours never disappoint. Did not miss the meat. You know what? I appreciate you doing that. And if you're looking for more fun ways to get more great tasting recipes in your life, check out our Smart Nutrition Cookbook, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all the good stuff. ChefMarshallO'Brien.com/shop. All right, let's continue on. Where were we before I cut off my finger? Questions, comments? You want to go over there and see how it's... Questions, comments, thoughts. See, Jana, my life partner, got so into taking care of me mode that she forgot her role outside of taking care of me for the show. I know, just see how everybody's doing there. There's a couple questions, but we're almost done. Again, folks, as I said, you could do this in advance, or you could do this, or you could do this as we're doing at the very end. I just want to minimize the amount of work on your part. So it's up to you, of course. You do it as you wish. Get this mincing done, and we now know that if you have pet cats, if you were ever wondering if they liked fish, well, now you know that they definitely do.
All
Speaking of, wait,
yeah.
Oh, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Tess wants to know, can we cook the salmon first, then mix and shape and coat, then cook?
Okay, that's sort of like doing the canned fish route. If that's what it takes, I say go for it. But here's the caveat to it: is when you have it cooked, or let me back up. When you have it raw, the flavors will infuse. The flavors will infuse in a different way versus if it's already cooked. So that's why I would, if possible, and you know what? And I normally don't cut my hands, so you probably won't do that. But I like doing it raw because you get the lemon and the rosemary and the Dijon infusing into the flesh of the fish. A little more penetration for flavor versus if it's cooked. But if that's what you want to do, I say go for it, because I just want to get all the barriers out of the way so you will do this and you'll enjoy it and want to do it again. Thanks for asking. Now, speaking of fish, I want to point out a significant health benefits of cold water fatty fish, ladies and gentlemen. Cold water fatty fish are high in omega-3s, and you might be asking, well, okay, so what's the big deal? Well, here's the deal. Omega-3 fatty acids are an anti-inflammatory food, meaning they're going to help reduce inflammation in the body. If you have headaches, they basically, the omega-3s can help open blood vessels to get more blood flow to muscles, to through your in your brain area. They can help with reducing stiffness, soreness. So omega-3 fatty acids are huge. If you are, if you're trying to improve mental clarity, if you're trying to have better cognition, you want to get omega-3 fatty acid rich foods into your life. Fish is just one way to do it, but you can do it, there's other omega-3 rich foods as well, whether it's like olives or almonds or chia seeds, but definitely get these omega-3 rich foods like salmon and other cold water fatty fish, tuna, mackerel, sardines, great stuff. Gonna love it. All right, this is all mixed up. Questions, comments, thoughts?
My skin worked just fine. Okay, let's see.
This
Oh,
looks
Reza
awesome.
says, Mom says, I make fish broth with the skin, then freeze it and use it for chowder.
That sounds fantastic. Love it. Way to go, Mom.
Let's see. Tess says, thank you, makes sense. Thought it was easier to flake it instead of chopping. That looks scary, but we'll try.
Try it. And yeah, one thing, okay, at this point, you've done your salmon, you've mixed everything up, and the recipe we say, take the mix and chill it for an hour. You could make your patties, and I didn't say that on the recipe. Again, some people, just depending on where they're coming from in their culinary career and on their path in the kitchen, you can make the patties right now, and I just stick them on the side of the bowl, and then they will freeze nice. Or you can just put the whole thing in there. But we've got the patties, and can somebody grab me an additional cutting board so I can finish the sauce? Thank you. And then you're going to put these on the side. They're going to be ready to go. Like I said, the reason why we want to do this, and it really comes down to your method of cooking. Are you going to be, thank you, are you going to be grilling these? When you chill them, if they're warm on a grill, they could potentially fall apart. That's why the chilling comes in. If you throw them in the oven, like I broiled, or you bake them, you don't necessarily have to do that hour of sit. If you're going to saute and or pan fry them, you may want to do that. So that's the setup. The setup does the chilling helps set them up, and that's why we do that. So I'm going to put these in my fridge. Questions, comments, thoughts? Questions, comments, and thoughts?
Dominic says, get the nice marbling fat for moisture if raw too.
Can you repeat that? Didn't quite get that.
I don't know. He had a, that doesn't, don't, get the nice marbling fat for moisture if raw too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Okay, so salmon is a fatty fish, and to Dominic's point, that marbling, that was white marbling, that is the fat, and you get that moisture in there, whereas when you cook it, it infuses into the meat. Sometimes it leaches out of the meat. It's not a bad thing. But Dominic's spot on. Love it. Absolutely right. You want to have that moisture to help when you set it up. Speaking of set it up, thanks to TV Magic, I have those done, and I'm almost done here. This is really simple. I'm going to just quickly put together the lemon dill yogurt. So we take some regular yogurt here. I talk a lot about yogurt because yogurt is such an easy snack, easy food to have in your life. Americans are used to sweet yogurt. I prefer just getting regular plain. We got plain yogurt here. Go regular style or Greek style. And then you add and season it. And what I love about this, it's just going to add a nice vibrancy to your rosemary lemon salmon burger, or however you end up finishing your creation. But it's going to add nice vibrance. We're going to add a little bit of the remainder of the lemon that we had that we would have divided in there with a teaspoon, because we said 3 teaspoons in the recipe. So we got that lemon in there, and then we're going to finish with some dill. Again, if you want to do dry dill, that's fine. You're just going to do you're gonna reduce it by 3. And now, here's a little insider secret, folks. When you cut yourself, there's a little psychological little mind game that happens, because now you're thinking, oh, I don't want to cut myself. Here's my suggestion to you, and I'm being serious. I obviously cut my finger, right? I don't want to think that it's going to happen again, so I'm getting back into it. I'm going, wow. Look at how awesome my skills are. Look at how much the knife does the work. I'm leaning in and I'm embracing it, so that way I can get over that fear of potentially whacking myself again. So just something to think about. we're going to add,
That smells so good.
doesn't that smell fantastic? So we add the dill, and we are like super ready to party. Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts? This looks great. That is good.
Tess wants to know, how about tzatziki sauce?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that. So you can go, if you want to go tzatziki sauce, you could then do a little garlic, a little cucumber, and add that in there, and you've got exactly that. That would be absolutely wonderful. I absolutely agree with that. All right, we've got our sauce. Going to move this over. We've got, I wanted to just point out that some people, love the idea of doing salmon burgers, but they didn't want maybe a traditional burger. And so I wanted to just show that we could do this a few different ways. And so we've got a burger, we've got a wrap, we have a salad. And the beautiful thing, folks, is all of these are going to still be very, 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 oh, look at how awesome these are. They're going to be very user-friendly, and you can make that happen. So we're going to start with our burger. And you know what? I mentioned in the recipe that I would encourage you to have some of your favorite roasted vegetables or whatever on the side. So I have got some roasted veggies here. Oh, we got to put the sauce on there.
Mom's asking garlic. Did you put?
I did not put garlic in there. You certainly could. That would taste wonderful. But we got just this, and this is simple, right? You want to throw some. Greens in there. I say go for it.
Oh, that's gonna.
What's that?
Looks like it was
Okay, now there we go. How's that? Now that's fancier, right? We got some greens in there. We're going to take some of our vegetables here. Just, again, finishing, rounding off the meal here, folks. You get creative, figure out what you want to do, and I think that will be, oh, that looks just gorgeous. I'll put this over here so nobody gets burned. Now maybe you want to put it as a salad, so you just kind of cut it into four pieces here. And we're going to just top it like this, kind of shingle it onto your salad, and then we'll top it with some of the sauce. All right. Questions, comments, thoughts, folks?
Ooh,
Doesn't that look awesome? Oh my gosh, it tastes so good. The sauce is going to be more rich in flavor as you let it sit. So again, you could do the sauce the day before. Water will separate from the yogurt. Just whip it up, and it'll be fine. Stir it up really good, and it'll be just fine. Again, you want to do it in a wrap. Maybe you're just going to have it and then pop it in like this, and we're going to add our sauce on there. And if you want to add any other, maybe some roasted bell peppers or just some thinly sliced green onions, whatever the case may be, beautiful. We're good there. And this looks awesome. I'm going to cut this.
Dominic
like
had a
that.
comment.
Yes.
How
does that look, folks?
Dairy issues. He made tahini as an alternate for the spread.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
Little lemon, maybe a little cumin in there, a little minced garlic or garlic powder with that tahini. You'll find that certain tahinis can have a little bitter taste from the sesame because it's just ground up sesames. So factor that as you're putting your flavors together in there. But I love that idea. Wow, this is awesome, folks. Really appreciate you, preparing with us. Obviously, we had it in the fridge, it chilled, and however you decided to cook it, whether it was a skillet, whether it was broil, oven, or grill, however it was. If you did the grill, then you had that leftover olive oil and you'd brush it and move forth. But I think you figured that out because we said that. This is exciting. Folks, little recap. I want to recap some of the tips already mentioned that you can serve this in a variety of ways. We can go canned salmon. You can do skinless salmon to save some of the time if you're a little intimidated.
Question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
How long would you cook the burger in the oven? At what temperature?
In the oven, 350, probably 25 to 30 minutes. Kind of depends on how, I say do 4 equal servings, 4 equal portions based on this recipe. So probably 25 minutes, firm to the touch. You're going to see some of the liquids coagulate on top. That's totally normal, but that's what it would be, probably 25 minutes. You do the skillet, it's going to be probably 15 minutes-ish, after you've, cook it halfway through on one side, flip it over sort of thing. Can I finish?
Please do, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Moving forward. Once, twice.
I can't. Something is wrong with my.
Anyways, let's wrap it up. If you want to throw, if there's other questions that come up, certainly cut in. As I was just talking with the tips again, mince up that salmon in advance. It's one less thing. It's one less messy thing that you have to do the day you're making the burgers. Oh, another little tip for you folks. You can make these burgers and then wrap them up in some plastic wrap or wax paper or parchment paper. Put them in the freezer. Great tip for you, okay? And also, again, using those fresh herbs. If you got to go dried herbs, totally get it. Cut it by 1/3 on the dry herbs because they're 3 times more potent. I think those are my tips. One comment, I want to go back to the dairy thing. There are dairy-free yogurts, plant-based yogurts. I don't have a lot of experience with them myself because I don't have a dairy sensitivity. But if you want to try those and use that in this, certainly give it a go. Make sure that you submit recipes, or submit your pictures. A lot of people are like, oh, that was so good, I forgot to take a picture. And a lot of you are taking pictures. In fact, last week, a lot of people submitted step-by-step action shots. Love it. Give us your pictures. We want to acknowledge you. We want to give you a shout out. Appreciate you taking the time. You're hanging out with me Thursday nights, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Appreciate that so much. You could be doing something else. So we want to acknowledge you. Make sure you're joining our Facebook page, Instagram, Chef Marshall O'Brien on both of those, and YouTube, Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence. Please sign up on that, subscribe, so that we can get more production capabilities unlocked. Really appreciate that. And if you're looking for more help, I got my Smart Nutrition Cookbook Meal Planner. Go to chefmarshallobrien.com/shop. It's going to help you with breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, kitchen essentials, meal planning. It's a great tool. You got college kids, you got someone in your life that just doesn't know how to navigate the kitchen, and you can't help them all the time? Let me help. Appreciate you being here. Next week, we got one-pan chicken, greens, and beans. See you next week, everybody.